The Assyrian Empire was one of the most powerful and influential empires of the ancient Near East. Centered in Mesopotamia, largely in what is now Iraq, southeastern Turkey, northeastern Syria, and parts of Iran, the Assyrian state evolved over millennia, reaching its peak during the first millennium BCE. Here's a detailed overview of its history, culture, military, administration, and legacy. Early Assyria, around 2500 to 1392 BCE, began as a collection of city-states in northern Mesopotamia, with Ashur as its main religious and political center. Early Assyrians were heavily influenced by Sumerians and later by the Akkadian Empire under Sargon of Akkad. Assyria was initially a vassal state under various empires including the Akkadians, and later the Third Dynasty of Ur. Moving on to the Old Assyrian Period, circa 2025 to 1365 BCE, the focus was on trade, especially with Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, notably through Karum's trading colonies such as Canes, also known as Kultepe. During this time, they developed early bureaucracy and long-distance trade systems. Now, in the Middle Assyrian Empire from around 1365 to 1056 BCE, Assur-uballit I declared independence from the Mitanni and expanded Assyrian control. Assyria began to rise as a regional power, dominating parts of northern Mesopotamia and engaging in conflicts with the Hittites, Babylonians, and Egyptians. Tukulti-Ninurta I captured Babylon and proclaimed himself king there, a significant achievement indeed. This was Assyria at its zenith, becoming the first true empire in the sense of having a large, multi-ethnic territory ruled by a centralized state. Key rulers included Ashur-nisir-pal II, who reigned from 883 to 859 BCE. He moved the capital to Kalhu, also known as Nimrud, and was known for his brutal military campaigns and monumental architecture. Then there was Shalmaneser III, who ruled from 859 to 824 BCE. He continued campaigns into Syria and against Urartu. Tiglath-Pileser III, reigning from 745 to 727 BCE, reformed the military and administrative systems, and conquered much of the Levant. Sargon II, who ruled from 722 to 705 BCE, founded Dur-Sharrukin, suppressed rebellions and expanded into Anatolia and Iran. Sennacherib, ruling from 705 to 681 BCE, made Nineveh the capital and destroyed Babylon, which was later rebuilt. Esarhaddon, who reigned from 681 to 669 BCE, rebuilt Babylon and conquered Egypt. Lastly, Ashurbanipal, who ruled from 668 to 627 BCE, created the Library of Ashurbanipal, one of the first systematically organized libraries, and is often considered the last great Assyrian king. After Ashurbanipal, the empire weakened due to civil wars and overextension. The Babylonians and Medes formed an alliance, sacked Nineveh in 612 BCE, and completed the destruction of the empire by 609 BCE. So, the Assyrians developed one of the most effective military machines in the ancient world. They were really notable for their use of iron weapons, which were quite innovative at the time. They also excelled in siege warfare, using things like battering rams, sappers, and even siege towers. On top of that, they had formidable cavalry and chariots. And honestly, their use of psychological warfare and terror tactics, like mass deportations, executions, and public displays, was pretty intense and definitely set them apart. The Assyrian state was highly centralized and bureaucratic. They divided the empire into provinces, each ruled by governors, who were often Assyrian nobles or military officials. They also developed really effective systems of taxation, roads, and communication. And yeah, they used mass deportations as a way to reduce rebellion and to repopulate key areas throughout the empire. Religion in ancient Assyria was centered on Ashur, who was the national god along with a pantheon that included Ishtar, Ninurta, Nabu, and several others. Massive temples and ziggurats were constructed in key cities such as Ashur and Nineveh. Art and architecture really flourished during this time, especially through reliefs that depicted military campaigns and lion hunts. There were also palaces with grand halls and elaborate decorations, and let's not forget the libraries, most notably the Library of Ashurbanipal, which preserved texts in cuneiform including the famous Epic of Gilgamesh. The Assyrians, well, they were true pioneers of imperialism, and their influence can be seen in how later empires were structured. Their tactics, administrative models, and military techniques were actually emulated by empires that followed, like the Babylonians, Persians, and even the Romans. And it's interesting to note that the modern Assyrian people, who are an ethnic group with roots in ancient Assyria, still exist today, mainly in Iraq, Syria, Iran, and across the diaspora. Ashur served as the religious and early political center. Nimrud, also known as Kalhu, became the capital under Ashur-Nasirpal II. Dur-Sharrukin was built by Sargon II, and then Nineveh stood out as the grand capital under Sennacherib and Ashurbanipal. If you'd like, I can also provide maps or timelines, comparisons with other empires like Babylon or Persia, or more detail on Assyrian art, religion, or language. Just let me know how deep you'd like to go.